All right, everybody. Hey, welcome. So I'm going to address a really difficult topic, and hopefully you're going to end up feeling better because you're going to have some tools that you can work with. And, I'm going to talk a little bit more than essential oils, but I really want to focus on the oils and how they can really help us with emotional, energetic wellness and balance. So, what I'm going to talk about tonight is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent any disease. I'm talking emotions, I am talking energetics, and I'm talking how emotions that are traumatizing and negative, how they can store in the body, and what we can do energetically to help release them. So, just a little bit about me. I've been an attorney for 28 years, with my career being focused on criminal prosecution. So right there is trauma, being a criminal prosecutor and dealing with the worst of society. And I dealt with horrendous cases. I did a lot of child sexual abuse cases, really bad felony domestic violence, organized crime, a lot of death threats, a lot of issues with those cases, and animal abuse. And then after I left the courtroom, I started my career in teaching at criminal justice conferences on best practices with animal abuse cases, how to investigate and prosecute, best practices with domestic violence and child abuse cases. So, I mean, I've had a career dealing with trauma of other people's trauma and just the trauma of the work that is involved in that. So it's no wonder that I, in 2011, 12 years ago, created Manifested Harmony, where I started to, I was certified in several energy healing modalities, got involved, became certified in crystals, essential oils, became a certified health coach, not only to regain my health after a lot of career-related trauma and stress, but to help other people and to help animals. So that is just a little bit about me. And what I'm going to talk about in this particular class, if you feel like you need to go deeper, I have an on-demand series. It is a 12-class series. It's 12 hours of content on a variety of topics to help you find well-being and to find balance in your life. So if you feel like you need to go deeper, I would encourage you to check that out, because I think it will help you greatly, because I know it has helped me, and I tend to teach what I teach what I know, and I teach what I have put into practice and found results. So if you feel you need to go deeper, that is there for you to go through at whatever leisurely time you want to go through it. It is there for you. All right, so for those of you who are here live, and for those of you who are watching the recording, I really want to thank you for being here, because we've had some rough years recently. I mean, this is being recorded February 21st of 2023. We've had a rough time. We've really had a rough time. I live in Lansing, Michigan at this moment in time. And 8 days ago, we had a mass shooting at Michigan State University with 8 victims, 3 of whom died, 5 of whom were shot, and at this point have survived, but 4 of the 5 are still in critical condition, which is not good. This was my alma mater, and it was just literally right down the street from me. So, I know that there are going to be people impacted by that, as well as other mass violence that are going to watch this. And if we can just take a breath, take in a deep breath, just kind of have a moment of silence for all those that we have lost. If you have an essential oil, whatever essential oil you want, I'm actually using Harmony. Why don't you go ahead and just breathe that in, and let's just have that moment for them. So for those of you who are here live, in the chat, and I'm not going to name names. So in the chat is not recorded. It is not captured as part of the recording. So you are free to say whatever you want in the chat. But I would like to know what the emotion is that you are feeling the most right now in your life. What is the prevalent emotion? Like, I'd kind of like to know where you are. So I'm opening up the chat here. We've been through a lot the past 6 years. I mean, even a little bit longer than that, but really, really the past 6 years. You know, I could go into a whole spiel about the energy shift that we're in and what it's doing to people. That's a whole separate class. You can find that on my YouTube page. We have a lot of divisiveness. We have a Hunger Games mentality. If someone doesn't, you know, believe something that you believe, there's a lot of social media striking out against people. And then you add in, we just came out of a pandemic. There's fears of another pandemic. There's politics, there's riots, there's protests, there's wars, always on this planet. There's now daily mass shootings here in the United States. There's innocent people and animals that are suffering. So in the chat, I'm seeing fear of loss and loneliness. Yeah, those are two big ones. Well, what is happening for a lot of people is it's resulting in personal struggles with health, with family, with relationships, with work, you know, with the people around. There's accidents, there's trauma, there's shock, there's you know, sudden and shocking incidents that happen either to you or you witness them, or they're happening elsewhere and you feel them. And a couple of things before I really deep dive into this. When you have a fiery emotion like anger and rage, that means you're in the process of releasing those emotions. But if we experience those fiery emotions a lot, it becomes more difficult to literally release and expel them. And it can result in people doing something harmful. And then when we get to fatigue and numbness, like emotional fatigue, trauma, fatigue, and numbness, that's when the energy of trauma has settled in the body and it's taken up residency. And it's not good. I can tell you right now, it's not good. And this is something that, you know, if you're somebody who likes to take care of your physical health, maybe you try to eat as well as you can. You take your vitamins and your minerals and your supplements and exercising. This is the next thing. This to me is as important to make as a habit of working on your emotional health, just like you brush your teeth. This is very, very, very important, because the reality of being a human is that these very challenging times can take a toll on our emotions, which will then take a toll on our physical health. And a lot of people are having physical ailments that are a mystery, that even medical practitioners don't understand. It's trauma, it's emotional. I have been saying a lot over the last 8 days that we live in a society where we suffer from acute trauma all day, every day. Even if you lock yourself in your house, that's actually traumatic. So it's easy to live in fear and live in uncertainty, but that's not living. That's not living. At a soul level, I don't think you want that for yourself. You know, we are spiritual beings having a human experience on this planet. But as humans, you know, every day we experience a myriad of situations that can emotionally throw us off balance, impact us negatively, and even create trauma in the body. I mean, just the everyday slights that happen. You know, a person gets angry because you're not driving according to their schedule. They're behind you, acting aggressive. Maybe they flip you off. Or a coworker who gives you a nasty look because they had expectations that you didn't meet or you didn't know. Or family members who say or do hurtful things. These are everyday slights for a lot of people. You know, being the brunt of other people's issues, you know, the negative people, the unkind people, the people in your life who come to you and they dump their problems on you and they walk away feeling better, but you feel worse. You know, you feel like a doormat and they have treated you like a doormat. You know, having work where you see trauma, you know, vicarious trauma and compassion fatigue is something that I teach about. It is real. You know, people who are working with crime victims, working with animals, working with children, working with domestic violence survivors, working in a hospital, first responders, police officers, firemen. I mean, all sorts of vicarious trauma and compassion fatigue. When you experience and you take on the trauma of people or pets, you know, simply watching the news or social media that is discussing wars or mass shootings or trauma or conspiracy theories that frighten you, over time, it will wear you down. It absolutely will. If you have an accident, you know, a car accident, a slip and fall, or if you're involved in a scary situation that involves violence, you know, maybe you're harmed or you see other people get harmed, you know, that's the reality of being a human. You know, being victimized at any point in your life, if that has not been processed and dealt with, it can stay with you your entire life. And it will direct how you think, how you feel, how you act, and the results that you have in your life, because you're looking at your life through the victimization sunglasses. I mean, even how people responded to the pandemic. Some people were afraid, terrified. They still are. Other people pivoted and thrived. So, you know, how did you respond to that? How are you responding to wars? I mean, there's horrible things going on, you know, right now in Ukraine. You know, there's always problems in the Middle East. Turkey just had horrible earthquakes, and I don't even know what the number is at right now, but I know it's over 40,000 that were killed. And then we have mass violence. And if you see these images, if you see these videos, or if you experience in person, it's traumatic. Your brain doesn't differentiate between whether you experience it or whether you see it on a screen. It does not differentiate. And I know people think, oh, it's okay for me to watch those scary movies and to play those violent video games. No, it's not. Your brain does not distinguish. It absolutely does not distinguish, because the primal part of the brain overrides the conscious part of the brain. And then social media. I mean, social media, depending on whether you have cleaned up your feed, it can be nasty. I mean, just what is happening to children and teenagers, and they are taking their lives because of things that are being said on social media. Too many people are just afraid to say what they want to say on social media. They want to share something. They want to express their thoughts, but they're afraid of being attacked. And then other people watch these attacks and they feel the trauma from it, and it impacts mental health. So there's a lot that is going on in our world, and I come at it from the energetic perspective, looking at what is happening in our world, because we are in an energy shift. And the short story is that we are in the final showdown of old, aggressive, domineering energy that's playing out right now and trying to survive. It's not going to survive. It's not going to survive, because the earth is evolving and we go with her, but it is taking a swipe at a lot of people. And that's scary. That's scary for a lot of people. So we all have what I call an emotional GPS. Your emotions are going to tell you if something is right or wrong. It's going to tell you if something is good for you. Have you ever stayed in a job and it made you sick? You knew it was making you sick, but you stayed. That's your emotional GPS telling you, get out. Because at the end of the day, a paycheck is just a paycheck. It's just money. You can make money anyplace else. I did that. I had to leave. I had to leave full-time legal work because it was killing me. And it was worth it. It was worth leaving. Have you ever hung around people that leave you feeling down? How you feel around those people tells you whether to be around them. Have you ever felt anxious or depressed after watching the news or social media? If you have, it's telling you, turn it off. Turn it off. There's a lot of addiction to screen time. It's an addiction. Turn it off. Have you ever felt like crap and feel bad after eating, junk food, a whole tub of ice cream, a bag of potato chips? You ate food that you knew wasn't good for you. Your body is telling you, don't eat this. I'm going to come out in your emotions and tell you not to do this. And so all of that is just the frequency of your body and your emotions telling you to stop, asking you to stop, to pivot in the other direction and solve the problem. Every time you feel an unwanted emotion, your body is telling you, stop, solve it. Okay, that is probably the most important thing that I can tell you. Stop, tell your emotion, stop. Because your emotion is just coming from a thought and you can control thoughts. Tell it to stop and then solve it. Okay, so our emotions speak to us all day long, but we have to listen. We have to listen. And if you don't, you will eventually become numb and start numbing avoidance activities, which I will talk about shortly. So we're never going to be 100% positive. I mean, we live in a world of duality where there's light, there's dark, where there's good, there's bad. In order to really appreciate positive emotions, we have to first feel negative emotions. And then when we feel good, it's like, wow, I feel so good because I've experienced a negative emotion. You just don't want to wallow in a negative emotion. You need to release it. So positive emotions come when you're happy, you're accepting of change. You go for what feels right. Like you're not afraid. If you want to do something, you do it. You do it. You don't hold yourself back. Your energy is high. You relate well to people. People relate well to you. You treat people well. They treat you well. During conflict, you diffuse the situation. You do not get in there and mix it up, and you don't cower and walk away. You solve it. You solve the problem right then and there. You find that time passes joyfully because you're doing things that you love, work that you love, hobbies that you love. You're around people that lift you up. And at the end of the day, you actually have faith in outcomes, faith over fear. Now, if your emotions are negative, you're frazzled. you're frustrated, you're overwhelmed, you're angry, you're full of rage, you're depressed, you're fearful, you're sad, you have grief. You have physical symptoms that come from emotional turmoil. And I'm going to give you some ideas of where emotions actually store in the body. You feel that life is an uphill battle, like things always happen to you. You feel that life is happening to you. Positive people know that life is happening for them and that they can direct it. But when you're negative, you feel like life is against you. You fixate on problems all the time. You cannot seem to dig yourself out of the hole. You fixate on the problems. You fight against conflict. You're constantly at battle. And this is where my careers, I was also a lobbyist for 4 years in DC. And I found that the more I had to fight against conflict to get things going, the sicker I got. I mean, when you're constantly in conflict, you're going to get sick. And then your life force energy is drained. You just don't have energy to do things. So this is a very interesting chart. I actually teach about this in my integrated energy therapy classes, where I teach a technique where you get the emotional issues out of the cellular level, because every emotion, everything that we experience in life stores at the cellular level. We are a big hard drive. So that's why as you get older, you tend to feel heavier, not in weight, but just mentally and emotionally. It's like, oh, I have so much baggage. That's because your cells are full of things because you haven't released them. So, if you have an emotion that is hanging around, you can look at this chart and know what physical issue is going to manifest. If it hasn't manifested yet, it's coming. It's coming. So that should get you into a very proactive state of mind. That if you have heartache and you are not working on it, you're going to end up with heart issues. If you are dealing with powerlessness, if you act powerless, if you act like a victim, you're going to have stomach issues and your adrenals are going to crash and you will not have energy. If you are in constant fear, it's going to impact your kidneys. And a good way of knowing if you are harboring any of these emotions at a cellular level, very, very deep down, if you think of someone or something or a situation, or you're reminded of something or someone, and it triggers a strong and negative emotion that lasts more than 15 seconds, then it is embedded trauma that needs to be released. But if you are reminded of something or someone and you're not triggered, and it just rolls right off your back, you've released it. You've released it. So that's a good test. And, I hear people all the time now using the word triggered. It's like the new popular word to talk about. You triggered me with what you said. No, nobody can trigger you except for your own embedded emotions and trauma. And what that person has done is actually given you a gift by bubbling up, triggering the emotion so that you can take the work, not anybody else, but you can do the work to resolve it. So the next time you feel triggered, thank that person, thank that situation, because now your emotional GPS told you exactly what you need to work on. It's a gift, but people talk about triggering in a way of shaming the other person. When people actually say, you triggered me, it actually results in shame. It's a shaming technique. So I really encourage people, do not use that word. But if you are triggered, use it as a teaching point for yourself, because you just got a big memo from the universe saying, hey, that resentment that just bubbled up in you, let's go work on it. Otherwise, you're going to have an issue with your spleen. That guilt that just got bubbled up in you, let's go work on it. Otherwise, migraines, headaches, that's going to be in your future if it already isn't. It's a huge opportunity if you can look at it like that. It's a huge opportunity. And that's why I love teaching this technique. But you can just look at this and find, any part of the body where you're struggling, and you can see the related emotion. A good book to get if you don't have it is You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. Hers is a little more detailed than this. She even gives you affirmations for specific issues. But it is well documented, well researched that emotionally we store all of that in our body, and it will come out as a physical problem. And so, our emotions can weigh us down. I mean, we literally feel heavy. Some people feel like they're under a very heavy blanket made of rocks, and they're smothering because of their emotions. So, when I'm going to start talking about essential oils, because when we smell an essential oil, the odor of the oil stimulates the olfactory membranes in the olfactory system in our nose and in our brain. And then that triggers an electrical impulse to the olfactory bulb in the brain. So our limbic system in the brain that the olfactory bulb is connected to, our limbic system is the emotional center. It is connected to the olfactory bulb. And the olfactory bulb contains the hypothalamus, which, governs our autonomic function, our body functions, breathing, our heart beating, blood pumping. We don't have to think about that. It just does it because of the hypothalamus. It also contains the thalamus, which is our sensation, pain point. It has the hippocampus, which is all about new memories and learning. And it has the amygdala, which is our emotional center. That's where, when we smell an oil, boom, it goes right to the amygdala. So I'm going to go through some essential oils that I use based on specific emotions, because, when we can breathe an essential oil, we can release long-standing negative emotions from that limbic region, from the amygdala. And when you topically apply the oil on the cellular memory area, which was the prior screen, on the heart, over the liver, on the head, you can experience greater wellness and greater release. And Young Living has some amazing emotional release kits and protocols. Some of the oils I'm going to go through, today are the Feelings Kit. The Feelings Kit is great for, what I call the not too traumatic emotions. It's good for everyday living. And then we have the Freedom Sleep and Freedom Release kits. They really go together, and that's for pretty severe, long-standing emotional issues. There's the Reconnect kit, which is good for kids or people who just, like, emotionally they're disconnected, and you got to connect the wire. So I'm not going to go through those. I have other classes on my YouTube page about those. But what I really do want to talk about is trauma can involve a lot of emotions. So I'm going to touch on some of the big emotions that come out of trauma. And the essential oils that I'm going to talk about are not the oils that you're going to find in a local health food store or on Amazon. I'm only going to talk about Young Living because they are the purest on the market, and they will help you energetically and safely release these emotions because they're unadulterated. And a lot of the blends, actually all of the blends, were blended for a frequency so that you get a result. Not the smell. They're not blended for a scent. They're blended for a result. So if you need them reach out to whoever invited you to watch this, or reach out to me, and we'll help you get them and help you understand how to use them. So let's talk about some deep emotions, all right? Let's start with fear and worry. So fear and worry are emotions of scarcity, not believing that there's enough in the world, of lack. It's a lack mindset. It's a disempowered mindset where you're not able to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's also involving panic from trauma as well as despair. And all of those situations come out of fear and worry and result in fear and worry. You know, fear is just false expectations appearing real. And when you're worrying and fearful about something, it's always in the future. You know, we don't worry about the past. We don't fear the past. It's always future oriented. And it's always about something that likely won't happen. And so what do you accomplish by being worried? And so people say to me, oh, but Allie, I'm a natural worrier. Well, then you are literally terrorizing yourself from the inside out. Nobody is a born worrier. Can you name me a 2-year-old who is a worrier? No. No. That is something that happens when emotions are not released and resolved. And by worrying and being fearful, you are traumatizing yourself because your brain takes the worry and the fear as true, and your body feels it. If you go to a scary movie and something happens that scares you, your body tenses up. Like, you'll walk out of that movie, stomach doesn't feel really good, you might have a headache, your muscles are tense. Your brain takes it as true. That's why I said before, it doesn't matter if you experience a trauma in person or on a screen. Your brain interprets it as real. So whether it is a perceived something to fear about or something that actually has made you very fearful, if you keep reliving it, you will continue to re-traumatize yourself. It's like you're there over and over and over again. But when you are present, you're not living in the future, you're not going to worry or be fearful. So fear and worry stores in the kidneys and in the stomach. So if this is you, those are the 2 areas on your body where you need to put those oils, as well as you need to smell them. So the oils that I like, and there's a lot of oils that deal with this, but these are my favorites. Lavender. It's very calming and it's very cooling because fear and worry are hot, agitated emotions. It's cooling. Okay, it's going to cool the energy. The abundance blend shifts your frequency to see that everything that is around you is plentiful. You have all these possibilities if you can just look and see them. If you're looking through a lens of fear and worry, you're not going to see all that's around you to be grateful for. The acceptance blend helps you to stop resisting what cannot be changed. So there are some people that I affectionately call control management specialists. I have moments where I am one. I used to be one in a big way. I still have my moments. Here's the thing. There's a lot of things in this world we cannot control. I can't control what's going on in other countries. I can't control what's going on with other people. I can't control that angry driver. I can't control that person who decides to take a gun and shoot up a school. I can control my response. I can control how I live my life. I can control how I want to feel. That's what acceptance does. Because when you change your energy, the energy around you and everybody who is stepping into it is going to be changed positively. And then I also like the present time oil, which is in the feelings kit. Okay. I'm going to tell you right now, if you do not have the feelings kit, I highly recommend getting it. It's going to dramatically change your life. present time is in it, because it helps you get into this moment right now. And in this moment, this precise second, everything is perfect. Everything is perfect. Okay? Because we're here together. You and me. So you apply the oils where you feel this emotion in your body, and you're probably going to feel the fear and the worry in your stomach and your lower back. Well, your lower back is kidneys. Lower back pain is fear. Anybody who has lower back pain, that's fear, and it's your kidneys. That's what it is, okay? So get the oils on those places and deeply breathe them in to get them into the amygdala. And then say affirmations like, I can handle whatever comes my way. All is well in this moment. 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 If you've got to say it all the time repetitively, all is well in this moment. Okay? That's how you deal with the fear and worry that comes out of trauma. Let's talk about anxiety. Now, while anxiety may have some genetic precursors, you have to flip the switch on it. You know, with a lot of things that happen to our physical body, we may have a predisposition, but you have to flip the switch on it. So with anxiety, if you can flip the switch, you can also flip it backwards. Okay? If you have experienced a trauma or something shocking that came out of nowhere, that impacts your desire to control what cannot be controlled, that will result in anxiety. Nervous energy and dread can come from stress, from other people, from other situations, which can cause anxiety. Feeling that you should be doing more can cause anxiety. And all of that can lead to helplessness, which causes anxiety. So, you know, can you control the pandemic or anything down the road that may come our way? No. You can control your response and what you do, but you can't control what that is doing. Can you control politics? I think we all learned that lesson. Nope. Can we control other people's violent tendencies? No. Can you control that a friend or a family member disowned you because you have a position on a social issue that they don't agree with? You can't control that. But if you hang on to trying to control things out of your control, it will create anxiety. Only you can control your response. Don't let it torture you. Don't let other people's behaviors torture you. Let go of what you can't control. And this is the thing, we are more empowered than we probably think we are. Okay? So this issue with anxiety most often stores in the stomach because it's powerlessness. And it stores in the head. I mean, has anxiety ever caused you to have stomach issues? I mean, think of kids that are anxious about a test or anxious about a bully at school, and they wake up in the morning and they have a stomach ache. That's how that works. Your emotions are getting your attention. That's how they get your attention. So what are the oils that I love? I love orange because anxiety involves obsessive thoughts where you're just repetitive obsessive thoughts. You're in a loop and you can't let it go. Orange. Smell orange oil, put it on your head, release those obsessive thoughts. Valor, which is in the feelings kit. Have the courage to let it go. Have the courage to recognize that you can change your thoughts. You change your thoughts, it changes your emotions. If you change your emotions, it changes your actions. And then your results change. So have the courage to change. Release, also in the feelings kit. You need to release it. Put that release oil where you feel that anxiety. Put it on your stomach. Put it on your head for the obsessive thoughts. Let it go. Smell it in. And then white angelica, to me, is this warm, fuzzy, protective blanket. You know, it's pink and it's purple. It's got unicorns on it. It's really fluffy. It's warm, like it just came out of the dryer. And it's like, oh, it's a cold winter day here in Michigan. And I'm wrapped in my pink and purple unicorn blanket that's warm. There you go. That's white angelica. It is literally an angelic hug around you when you feel anxious. Get it in your diffuser, sprinkle it all over your body. And a great affirmation to say is, I am safe and in control of my response. Because that's the thing. You are in control of your response. Nobody else is in control. No, when you are in, if you are a control management specialist, that's the one thing you can control. When I learned that, I'm like, high five, Allie. You can still be a control management specialist. I'm in control of myself. And life got a whole heck of a lot easier because I released what other people do. It's like, you want to behave that way? Not my circus, not my monkeys. That person driving aggressively behind me, clearly they're late to go get a donut. It's not my problem. Not my problem. So this is the thing. You are in control of your response. Okay? And the anxiety will melt away. All right, let's go to the next one. Anger and resentment. I could even put rage in here. A lot of people are feeling angry and rageful. Most people do not take it out on others. The people that do, that is a crazy form of, I'm not even going to call it mental illness. It's like an energetic disease. It's an energetic disease to where they have not done any work on themselves. And so that's their response. So by being here, you are working on yourself. So I don't want you to think that you're going to go crazy and do something bad. I mean, if you are doing things to take care of yourself, you're doing good. Okay, you're doing good. But we all have moments of anger and resentment. Now, those are two different things. Anger is hot and immediate, whereas resentment is bitterness that comes from unresolved anger that simmers, and it leads to intolerance, which then leads to depression. So in my energy classes, I talk about how men get angry, like boom, angry burst, done. They let it go. Women, a lot of us were taught, good girls don't get angry. And so we may be angry inside, but it's like, oh, I need to bite my tongue. And we bury it very deep. It simmers and it becomes resentment. And then it becomes depression. Anger and resentment is all based in judgment, where you are forming an opinion that someone or something is wrong because it doesn't align with your beliefs. You know, I can't be friends with somebody like that. I hear that all the time. You know, we're all on a spiritual journey and some people are just in a different place. We're in a different place. Tolerance is what we need. And anger and resentment are intolerance. So, you know, with families and friends and marriages, you know, they've been torn apart by a lot of events in recent years, which then creates more anger and bitterness and intolerance. And some people do turn to violence. And so if you have experienced violence, if you have witnessed it, part of the grieving process is to get angry, but it's not to stay there. Because we need to experience negative emotions. Part of the experience is we release them. If you are not experiencing them, you're burying them very deep. And it's poison. It's going to make you sick at some point. So anger and resentment anger stores in the liver and gallbladder, resentment stores in the spleen. Okay, liver and gallbladder are on the right side of the body, which is a masculine energy. That's where we store masculine energy, on the right side of the body. So, of course, anger. which is a masculine emotion. Blow with anger and you're done. That's on the right side, liver and gallbladder. On the left side, it's when anger is not expressed and expelled. It goes over to the spleen on the left side of the body and it simmers as resentment. The oils I like are German chamomile. It's a very, very, very deep blue color. It's very calming and it supports our body's natural response to emotional irritations. And it's a very peaceful oil, very peaceful. The forgiveness oil is in the feelings kit, and it helps you to release these emotions that are poison. Because forgiveness has nothing to do with the other person or the situation. It's all for you. It's not for them at all. It's for you. Because without forgiveness, forgiveness is the antidote to anger and resentment. Without forgiveness, you are killing yourself. You know, I'm being blunt in this because I think people need to hear this. Because I've been studying this for, gosh, I mean, I've had my business for 12 years, but I have been studying this for 18 years. And I think we need to wake people up. They need to hear this. So forgiveness is very important. It's all for you. It's your antidote. It's that spoonful of medicine that you need to take. Peace and calming. Peace and calming is what I call the not my circus, not my monkeys oil. It's the oil when you need to get into the energy of not my problem. What you just did, not my problem. What I just saw, not my problem. And it's not that you are disengaging from society. You can still be an advocate. You can still, aim to have a better society, a better community. It's just you don't get wrapped in the emotions of other trauma. And you can walk away. When somebody behaves badly, not your problem. Don't take it personally. That's all about them. So it is the not my circus, not my monkeys oil. Humility, I also love. It keeps you sweet and strong no matter what's happening around you. I love that oil. I love that oil a lot. If you don't have it, it smells beautiful. And you're going to apply these oils where you feel the emotion in your body. I'd get these oils over the liver, the gallbladder, and the spleen while you smell them and say the affirmation, I am not responsible for other people. I am only responsible for myself. If everybody followed that philosophy, we would have no problems on this planet. None. It starts with us. It starts with us, one at a time. All right, let's go to depression. Depression and grief. So I put these two together because the same oils help. Depression relates to guilt, worthlessness, sadness, apathy, loss of interest. And it may not be from anything specific. Maybe it's from unresolved anger. It could be from so many situations that happened in the past that honestly, you don't know why you're depressed. It's just built up. Whereas grief involves sadness from a very specific loss and the inability to accept it. Both of these, depression and grief, can result in loneliness and are focused on what's missing rather than what you still have. So we can experience depression and grief when our world changes, when we're forced into isolation. Maybe you get sick and you're forced into isolation. It comes from death, from war, from protests, from riots, from work changes, lifestyle changes, suppressed emotions from the past coming up, grief in missing a life that used to be that no longer is, and you're unable to move forward. All of that is living in the past. You can't change the past. So again, you got to get in the present where all is well. So all of the depression and grief stores in the lungs. So I found it interesting when the pandemic hit in March of 2020 that it was targeting the lungs. Because when you look at things that had happened in our world in the previous years, it resulted in a lot of depression and grief in people, a lot of depression and grief. So our lung energy was very weak. So a virus that should have just been a common cold became horrible and attacked the lungs, because collectively as a society, the whole world was in grief and depression. Frankincense is going to be a really good oil because it works on clearing that meridian that runs through the lungs where grief is stored. Rose oil, cha-ching, it's expensive to get real rose oil. It is one of the deepest, if not the deepest, heart healing oils that you can find. It clears the grief and it clears the sadness. And it just brings such deep joy and gratitude that whatever you're depressed about or grieving, you find the gratitude that at least you had that at one point. If you're grieving the loss of a person or a pet, at least you had them in your life. That's what rose does. It moves you, it shifts you into that frequency. That's why that oil is worth every penny. I literally just smell the vapors in the bottle. I don't even really use the oil. I just smell it straight from the bottle. It'll last forever if you do that. As an alternative, joy has rose in it. And joy lets you know that once you have cleared the energy of the grief, it's okay to move on and be happy. No one in your life would ever want you to grieve forever. No one. No one would ever want that for you. Our loved ones who have passed want you to be happy. They want you to be joyful. And then hope. It brings you out of the darkness. It's a beautiful oil to bring you out of the darkness. So apply these oils where you feel the emotion in your body. Put them over the lungs, definitely. And smell them as you say, I am doing my best every day. I'm open to change. I am worthy to live my life, and my loved ones would want that. I am worthy to live my life with joy and happiness. I am worthy to thrive. A lot of people who have been through a trauma have survivor's guilt. This is a huge issue and very much needs to be dealt with. These oils will help you pull you out of that, pull you out of the hole, help you climb up that ladder so that you can say, I deserve to live my life with joy and happiness and do it without guilt. All right, the last set of emotions are overwhelmed and numb. You know, when negative emotions are not processed in a healthy way, we can go into avoidance mode because we can't manage what is happening. So we go into avoidance. You know, and this happens during chronic trauma, chronic grief, long-term illnesses. You know, it results in numbing behaviors as a way of protecting your emotions. And by numbing behaviors, I'm talking about binge watching Netflix, mindless scrolling on social media, overuse of alcohol, overuse of drugs, overeating, eating because emotionally you need to, not because you're hungry. You know, you feel like you're in information overload because your brain simply can't process information as efficiently. And so when you're overwhelmed and numbing yourself, you feel fatigued and your energy drains a lot quicker. You begin to feel defeated, you know, and kind of have an apathetic energy of why bother? Why bother going to work out? Why bother go see my friends? Why bother take that class? Why bother use that oil? Doesn't matter. That's overwhelm and numb talking. out of trauma. This stores in the stomach and the adrenals. Okay, so the oils that are going to help you are cedarwood. Cedarwood is the oil of immovable strength during crisis. It is a warm blanket energy. It will anchor you so deep to the earth. When we are very grounded to the earth, we are strong because the earth has our back. I say that in a lot of my classes. That's what this oil does. It's immovable strength during crisis so that you don't become overwhelmed and numb. You're strong. Harmony or trauma life. Let's go to trauma life. Oh my gosh, I need to smell trauma life. I've been using this a lot. I have been offering samples of this to a lot of people because of the MSU shooting. This is the calm during the storm. So you're in the storm. You're still in it. But you know, I can't get overwhelmed and I cannot numb myself. If I numb myself, it's going to bury all this trauma emotions. So this is the calm during the storm and to release as you're going through it. Okay? Trauma life will release as you're going through it. Oh, that smells so good. Harmony is soothing, balancing, calming. It's going to cut the energy of overwhelm so that you don't go into numbness. It's going to cut that energy. It balances the entire body. Surrender releases the need to control and allows you to go with the flow. And then sensation will bring you back to happy and joyful emotions and feelings so that you feel the sensations of positive emotions. Because when you're overwhelmed and numb, you're not feeling any positive emotions. And if you feel something positive and you feel guilty, use the sensation oil. Apply the oils where you feel the emotions, stomach and adrenals. The adrenals are on your back. They're the middle part of the back. So if you have middle back problems, that's powerlessness and stress that results in overwhelm and numbing behaviors. That's coming out of your adrenals. So put the oils there, smell them, and say, it's okay to ask for help and take care of myself. It's okay to ask for help and take care of myself. All right, recommendations. So as you know, if you're going through a trauma, if you're releasing trauma, if you're done with constantly replaying negative emotions and being disempowered and being in a victim energy, here's the thing, don't compare yourself to others. You know, this is what low self-esteem does to you, and your struggles and your grief are unique to you. So you're going to work on those at your pace. Just work on them. You know, it's for you to do. There's tools out there. That's why I love the oils. I do some energy healing sessions. I would prefer people to use the oils. You're empowered. In the middle of the night, if you wake up with a strong emotion, I'm not there. That'd be a little creepy if I was. But the oils are. They're there. Use them. So just know that your struggles and your grief are unique to you, okay? Don't compare yourself to others at all. Forego national news when you are struggling. Turn it off. If you want to watch local news to get the weather, that's different. But national news, there's nothing you can do about. There's nothing, okay? I'd even forego social media because you don't want to numb yourself. So you need a technology disconnect. Unless you are just doing everything that's empowering to you, empowering classes, empowering audiobooks, empowering websites, empowering social media sites. If anything makes you feel anything but joyful, delete. Delete. Okay, you need to take care of yourself. So restrict people on your social media pages. You know, restrict the mindless scrolling. When you're just mindlessly scrolling through social media, you've checked out. That's trauma. You're checked out. If you're scrolling because you like commenting and engaging with people, that's different. But if you're just scrolling, and like you don't even have the energy to click the like button or comment, that's trauma. Okay. So restrict the mindless scrolling, like just turn your phone off, just stick it in a drawer. You don't need it. Restrict who's on your social media pages and do it without regret. You're in control. There's a snooze button on social media. There's a permanent snooze button. Use it liberally. The other person will never know. And when you find yourself numbing, do something active, do something positive. Okay, I'm going to give you some ideas. Avoid negative situations and people. When you're feeling fragile or you're becoming numb, do everything that you can to be around positivity. Everything that you can. So the things that just bring you joy, do them. If it's walking in the sunshine, do it. If it's going in nature, do it. If it's being around animals, do it. Okay, avoid the negativity. Engage in proactive forgiveness. We all have things to forgive. And if you're proactive about resolving forgiveness, you're going to feel better. So if something or someone triggers you, that is your emotional GPS to resolve it once and for all. You also need to take care of your body. So you got to get good sleep. Take your vitamins, your minerals. Take adaptogens, which are herbs, which is going to take the body out of a fight or flight response. Eat small, frequent meals. Eat real food. Drink a lot of water. Move. Get out in the sun and nature. You need to take care of your emotions. Recite affirmations. Daydream. Do positive visualization. Journal. Be social. Engage in self-care. Go out and have fun. Be with animals. And take care of your spirit. Connect with Mother Nature. Meditate. Use your crystals. Use your oils. Okay. So what are things that you can do right now? Change. One of my favorite quotes is change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. So if you've been upset about a person, an event, a world situation, a life situation, what can you do every day to keep yourself as healthy as possible so that you can release the negative energies and move forward? I've just given you a bunch of ideas. If you've been upset over a particular situation, will it matter to you at the end of your life? Is that what you're going to be thinking about at the end of your life? If it was something traumatic, like you were involved in a violent situation, do you want to allow it to continue to rob you of happiness at the end of your life? No, you're going to have regret. That's why you got to release this. And when we have extreme negative emotions and trauma that are not released and are chronic, it will break down your body and it will start to ruin your life. You have the power to change this. You absolutely do. You have more power than you think. Take back your power. Change the way you're looking at the situation or the person, and the things you look at change. The best step toward emotional recovery is to release what you cannot control and to be proactive in what you can and to control yourself. And what you can control in yourself doesn't involve anybody else. It's just you. And at the end of the day, only you can live your life. All right. So if you are not using essential oils, whoever invited you to this, get with them and say, hey, Allie said I need the feelings kit and trauma life. That's what I would highly recommend. If I invited you or if you found your way here, you know where to find me. You need to get the feelings kit and trauma life. These are oils that everybody should have in their home. I cannot say enough good things about them. I also use all these oils with all the animals because the animals experience trauma, and these oils are tremendous for animals. All right, so I am going to go ahead and I'm going to stop the recording so that those who are here live can ask some questions. So if you're watching the recording, I hope this was beneficial. I hope this is helpful because I want to see people healed and releasing these emotions because it will dramatically change our world if we work on this. So I hope this was helpful.